Mrs. Detzel?
Here.
Mr. Harlow?
Here.
Mr. Heather?
Here.
Mr. Engel?
Here.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone has received a copy of the meeting minutes from August 14th. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any corrections or additions? Okay, Chris? Did you join the meeting?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I voted.
It's not showing yours.
Not showing anybody. Oh, there it goes.
There we go. Motion passes 5-0. Yeah. Michael, do you have a legislative update?
I do not. They're still on break.
Yep. Do you have a Butler Tech?
No, we actually had to change our meeting from last Tuesday to tomorrow, so I'll have comments at the next meeting. But I did talk to the superintendent. He said the start of school's gone very well. No complaints.
Okay, do we have any reports from employee organizations, certificated or licensed? Classified? Any reports from school-related organizations? I have one request for community comments. Dan Unger.
Thank you, Pam. It's nice to look around and see the same group of administrators is still here from when I left 2 years ago. I guess we put the right people in place, and that's good. I was on this board for 8 years. I haven't been back in the 2 years since I left the board at the end of 2015, and I was really pleased with what we had all accomplished together, and you guys have done a good job of moving that forward, and watching the new schools come out of the ground. It's all been a great thing, and a lot of that comes from when people can cooperate with each other and see past their differences and move together towards a common goal. I haven't been back to any meetings, but I have heard a lot of what is going on from being at home, and you know, one thing that hasn't changed is, I guess, the relationship with the Colerain Township Board of Trustees hasn't really gotten any better, and I know that one of the most important things when you're making decisions that affect a whole community for a long period of time, it's probably really important that everybody would, you know, sit down together in different, especially the two bigger organizations in the township, which is the school district and the Board of Trustees. At least they would have a seat at each other's table, and what I'm led to believe is nothing's changed, and that's not really happening these days. I know the Rumpke TIF came up, and yes, that is the township that started that TIF, but I think it might have been better had they included the board in some of the discussions, and maybe there was some midway point or something that could have been worked out better than what actually happened. I'm here. I'm a candidate for Colerain to be on the Colerain Township Board of Trustees, and I can assure you that with big decisions like that the board would certainly have a seat at the table, because that's going to be around long after we're all done and gone. You know, when I was on the board the first 6 years, I was the legislative liaison, and one of the things I used to point out was people at home that watch these meetings or watch the trustees meetings when you used to be able to watch them on Waycross, they always had to look, and there was a school board and trustees in the county and the state, and they had all these different local and larger governments, and I always tried to make sure we always recognized that the school board wasn't the only thing that people at home had to deal with. And like I said, I can assure you that if I become a trustee, that there's going to be an open ear for the board and the superintendent and the treasurer to at least hear what you have to say and see if we can work that into some kind of arrangement that's better for all of us. And one of the other reasons I'm running, and part of what got me on this board twice, was I've always tried to watch out for the homeowners, for the people that are paying for these things. There's a a balance between the needs of any organization and the ability of people who live in the community to pay for those needs. And, you know, in the last 4 years, and I don't recall the trustees coming to the Board of Education to discuss, let's say, the income tax that they tried to pass in 2014. And granted, that was part of a JED's agreement, but once an income tax gets started, it's grown everywhere it's ever started at, and I don't remember that the trustees made the board a priority in those discussions. You know, another way the trustees tried to raise the cost of being in the township was kind of an ill-conceived park entrance tax or park entrance fee permit that wasn't really enough to even cover the cost of having somebody to check the passes when you went into the parks. People that live in subdivisions that live on township streets, we all have sidewalks in front of our house. I was going to get a permit to replace mine, and I'm still going to, and it's not that much money, but the cost of those permits has gone up over 200% in the last 4 years. And, you know, the one thing we really tried to do that I really think got the school board out there and helped us pass that bond issue 2 years ago is we were very public and open and transparent, and a lot of that has to do with Waycross being here. And when the trustees finally brought that in so that it was seen all over the township, they used that as a reason to raise the franchise fee that shows up on your Spectrum cable TV bill, which I don't know if you have cable TV or not, but if you have Spectrum or the old Time Warner, that fee is at its maximum. And once they got that fee up to the maximum, the township trustees cut off the Waycross TV service. So it's my understanding, I think the board just pays for that now so that your meetings can be out there on Waycross. Is that how that works now? And the franchise fee, and those are not tax dollars. Those are dollars that somebody who is it's a user fee for those of us that have cable, and I'm paying that user fee, yet I'm not getting the Waycross TV coverage on my television. So for all the reasons that I've listed, and a lot of it has to do with just constantly increasing taxes and just a frenzy of where can we get more money from people and how can we not include the school board in our decisions. And it's for those reasons that I've decided to run for trustee, and if that's what people want, I'll end up as a trustee in January, and that's why I'm running. And I'd ask that you at least consider voting for Dan Unger when you go to vote in Colerain Township this fall. I'm really pleased to have the opportunity to come here and see you all. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah,
or
Dan,
anything,
I got a question for you, Dan.
Sure.
Today in the Enquirer, there was an article about the West Claremont School District. It was a big,
Chris,
glowing thing.
we don't, during this part, it's kind of not a dialogue. We've got to be fair to all the candidates.
Well, after
Typically-
last week, Pam, with Raj and
I don't
his
think any of us
introduction.
asked questions.
Well, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine.
I mean,
I know
yes.
that West Claremont's building a new high school, and they've got some other type of
Well,
arrangement. It's
without
probably
asking you a question,
Yeah.
just for the benefit of the board, they were
Thank you,
lauding.
Dan. Thank
Well,
you.
thanks, Dan. They were lauding that they were building one school without
Thank you.
raising taxes. Well, I got on there in a little comments thing, you do it through your Facebook, and said, well, that's great, but Northwest is building 3 new schools, and taxes are lower now than they were 4 years ago. So it's in the Enquirer today, and I just thought I would let people know that it's great that they're doing that, but we did it too. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the financial reports of the treasurer.
Yes, the first item is a fiscal item. It is financial reports of the treasurer, July 2017. The treasurer and superintendent recommend the Board of Education approve the financial reports as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions?
Mine didn't advance.
I'm
It says Cruz is on. but-
I'm on.
Oh,
I think
your cruise is off. Your cruise is off. So
This is,
your cruise is off. So you've got to, I think, log out, and log back in.
yeah, 'cause I'm on.
No, you got it.
Oh,
Okay,
there
now
we
we got it, okay.
Technical difficulties this evening.
Yeah.
I'm clicking on go to current item. I was there, but nobody else was.
You are the current. You're the president, so it's your current item. Your item's always the current item. So go back, look at previous.
We should.
This is where I was, and none of you said you didn't have it.
Right.
I want that, I clicked.
So your cruise come up for me at all?
You're still
Your
not?
cruise is off. You're in the right spot. Your cruise is off. Your cruise is what drives us.
It's not letting me switch on to it.
Log out and
We need to do a,
I'm gonna try to log back in and see if it helps.
it's the eclipse.
Okay. I'm on financial, and now it automatically, my cruise is going off.
Guess you're gonna have to take more.
Okay, well, we can all just advance manually. Yeah.
But it's not letting it come up to vote.
We're not getting the
Well,
vote.
let's just do this one and see if
The next one
the
works.
next one will work.
Okay.
That way.
We had a motion and a second.
Right. So, Mrs. Detzel? Aye. Mr. Harlow?
Aye.
Mr. Heather?
Aye.
Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mr. Detzel?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Apologize for the technical difficulties.
Oh, wait a minute. Just popped up.
It's moving at its
I don't
own
know which it is,
pace.
But it just popped up, so let's go ahead and,
So you need to vote again?
yeah, they'll just do the electronic vote now.
Motion passes 5-0.
The projector looked into the sun. The next item is certificated
the
license
glasses.
personnel item. Certificated license personnel retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated license personnel retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments regarding certificated and licensed personnel retirements and resignations? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is the classified retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded on classified retirements and resignations. Any questions? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is a general business item. It is vendor contracts. Superintendent and Treasurer recommend the Board of Education approve the vendor contracts as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions on vendor contracts? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is certificated licensed personnel items. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions regarding certificate on licensed personnel? Okay, Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
I didn't know if it's going to go forward or not. It's superintendent's update now?
Did we?
Or
Or classified, all right.
We're classified.
Personnel.
Gotcha. Mine didn't move. Classified personnel items. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second on classified personnel items. Any comments? Chris? Motion passes 5-0.
All right, for my update, it's a short, quick one. There will be no work session on September 12th. Instead, we will have an additional meeting prior to the September 25th for the retire-rehire discussion. So that would be 6:30. I was hoping all of you could make it at 6:30 that night
On the 25th.
on the 25th.
So.
So the 12th would be eliminated, and then there would be that meeting at the 6:30, and then our official meeting at 7 o'clock,
The 12th of,
September,
that
So
was
we have a meeting
that was a
September 11th
Tuesday.
and September 12th.
or September 11th. My
Okay.
bad. I typed the date wrong.
Okay. So the 25th will have a meeting at 6:30 and then our meeting at 7
Correct.
for the retiree hire.
Yep, and I'll send out a reminder and weekly updates.
Is there going to be any work sessions?
That will take up all of our meetings. If we want to have an additional one, we could, but I think we can do most of the presentations. My goal this year is to have the AO staff do presentations from each of the departments at the board meetings, so the public can see what's going on in you all, so.
That's good. Anybody have any questions? Everybody's okay with 6:30 on the 25th? Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, this is the point of the meeting. If there was anything that was discussed during the meeting that you have any questions or comments, you can just raise your hand and ask from your chair.
I just want to say it's nice to see everybody. I haven't seen everybody in 2 years. Like I said, I'm glad to see that the team we put in place is still here, so, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, with that, we'll go to board member comments. Chris?
I'd just like to introduce Dan, you all know, Mark Gilbert. Mark, if you want to stand up, Mark is one of the 4 candidates for the 3 seats for the school board this November. He's lived in the district 22 years. He's got a son that graduated summa cum laude and daughter who's an 8th grader, Mark. And Mark's very active at the White Oak Christian Church and great business experience and overall good, decent fella. So we're glad to have you running, Mark. Welcome.
Okay, Michael?
I think some of you have seen this post floating around on social media where a lady was stuck behind a bus, and first she said she's a little impatient, but then she saw the effect that the bus driver had on the child and the child's parents. Shout out to driver bus number 31, and it's being shared all over social media. I don't know the person who wrote it originally. As it turns out, the kindergartner in question and her parents are family friends. Kindergartner's father's worked for my family's business for about 25 years now, and so it was very sweet to see, and just a reminder of all the dedicated people we have here. Just want to reiterate that shout out to the driver of bus number 31. Thank you.
Chris, do you have that driver's name? Is that Tracy?
I can share you.
Tracy Keller.
Tracy.
Oh, okay, it's
Tracy.
Tracy. Okay, yeah.
And then there was another gentleman, I don't know which person in the department was doing a ride-along during middays.
Okay.
Great. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Bob?
Yeah, I just like to acknowledge the fact that we got off to a pretty good start this school year. We had a few little glitches here and there, but overall, I think this year went a lot smoother than it did last year. And unfortunately, the weather had to kick in and get a little bit warm this week. So hopefully next year everything will be air conditioned and we won't have that situation. I know there's been a few things on social media too about the condition inside the school buses being warm. But when all the windows get down and the air gets moving when the bus is actually moving on the road, it's tough for the little guys. But yeah, I think most everybody can get through that. And I think this week all of our athletic teams and competition teams kick off. So best of luck to everybody this year in their athletic teams and band competitions and whatever activities they're in. And hopefully we got a lot of people signed up at the orientation day at the high schools. And that's about it.
Okay.
I just want to echo that. Good luck to all the athletic teams, football teams Friday night, and the cross-country team we run Saturday at Lakota. So if you want to come out and run along 3.1 miles, come on
It's a
out.
piece of cake for Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Dan was talking about how he goes
Maybe
to
not this
the
weekend,
Y
but-
at 5:40. He could sleep in and go out there.
So, good luck to everybody.
Okay, and I too want enrollment seems like it went much better, a lot smoother, hopefully. Next year it'll even go better. But it sounds like things was a good start, and kind of echo what everybody else says as far as all the activities that are starting this week. All our athletes, good luck to them. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved. Second.
Okay, Chris, you want to call for the vote?
So
You're still on board member.
Just give them a maybe, because it eventually kicked in.
I'm not there. There we go.
There we go.
Mine did advance.
There.
Yours didn't after that?
Oh, it did now, but yeah.
Okay.
it did before.
Okay,
We've called for adjournment, we don't have to vote though.
right. Okay. Are we up to where we need to be,
Yeah.
Chris? Apologize for the, I don't know what's going on with the
There you
computer.
go.
There we
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 go,
good?
we're good.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.